Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Team Down TV's coverage here of the MOL Clash of the Titans, Australia versus New Zealand, World of Tanks. My name is Sam, and I'm joined here tonight, freshly back from his shenanigans casting for Wargaming over in Europe. We do have Mitch Uber Leslie. How you going tonight, Uber?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you, Sam, man. Just shaking off the jet lag, but that's a good way to relive the weekend that was by jumping back into some World of Tanks. And there's no better place to do it, really, here in Australia. Of course, it is the Battle of the Titans, Australia versus New Zealand in a three-match series. Every match consisting of a best of 5, and we're already had our map picks for our first series. So basically, I'll run you all through it really quickly. New Zealand chose Ensk, and Australia chose Cliff. Then New Zealand chose Himmelsdorf. Australia picked Mines. New Zealand went with Ruinberg. So obviously, I just figured out what a Chillybin was, by the way, Sam. That's an esky. But obviously, New Zealand are the Chillybin Warriors. Australia, the Jolly Jumpers.
Well, they are indeed. Now, I think we might be good to go into some tank selection here. We'll get these guys underway. Now, as you said, we've gone into Ruinberg first off. We are following the 7-minute rounds here. Now, these guys, these aren't their normal teams, are they? This is an Australian team made up of a few different Australian players, and then obviously a Kiwi team made up of the same. Now, these guys, they're competing for 56,000 gold here, and the runner-up's only going to pick up 14k gold, so there's quite a considerable difference there. So they should be taking this relatively seriously, even though it's a bit of fun.
Oh, look, it's a nice bit of gold to line the pockets, especially for these guys who spend so much time playing tourneys, and though they don't all have tourney tanks, so it's always good to have them sorted up. And of course, let's go through them as well. Look, a lot of these names, if you've been following Australian and New Zealand and Asian World of Tanks, you should recognise the Fresh Meat, of course, DPS Comics as well. Team Efficiency, obviously with Fresh Meat. Eminence is also Team Efficiency. Ajax is Numb. Joke is Numb. Mind That Tank and Furbex and Numb as well. One of the sort of top 5 teams in Asia. And on the other side of things, we've got Batman from PvP Super Friends. Bingo Bongo, I believe, is Team Efficiency. Dako as well. Horse of the Apocalypse is Numb. Griven is Team Efficiency. Anato is PvP Super Friends. And Vidicare is Numb. So it's not a huge distribution, but it is across some of our biggest teams. And I'm telling you right now, there are some big players on both of these sides. Ruinberg is the map. Tanks are being picked here, and we can see that the Jolly Jumpers opting for 2 T1s, IS-3, 1390, and 3 5100s.
Straight out of the gate there, they are picking up all those tanks. Now, which the Australian team spawning on the north side this time around? Is that the go?
Yes. So, in fact, Australia will be spawning on the north every single map. So that's just the way it's worked out, and so they will have north spawn each and every time. And the Chillybin Warriors will be on the south side. So even now, tank picks coming out as well here from the Chillybin Warriors. 2 T1s, 2 IS-3s, 3090 and 2 5100s. The only difference being one team opting for the extra IS-3, and that is the Chillybin Warriors, kind of implying that maybe they're considering a little bit more play towards the city centre side of the map. Northern spawn, you often favour flexible tanks. You can sort of push wide toward that 0 line and get up in that little village as well. 1390 can get shots into the middle of town. You can flex some 5100s as well from sort of covering your spawn or camping sort of behind your cap to pushing into the city. And of course, the T1's being instrumental here. So yeah, an extra 5100 here for the Jolly Jumpers. It's going to be a slightly heavier lineup for the Chillybin Warriors.
Alrighty, now before we do get into this game tonight, Uber, we do have some formalities that we need to go through. Ladies and gentlemen, please be upstanding for the New Zealand National Anthem. Lovely rendition there, Uber, of the Kiwi national anthem. A bit of English, a bit of Maori in there as well. Now it is the moment the majorities have been waiting for, the Australian national anthem. I'm sure Uber did appreciate that one. So we have had our 2 national anthems now, Uber. We are about to get this game underway, but there is one more thing that would make the night ready, and I think we'll do that. Let the Kiwis have their haka. We'll let them have it. And as we come out of the haka, ladies and gentlemen, we are here in-game in our first map in this best of 5 of our first match here on Ruinberg. I'm going to be heading out with, looks like the Australian team, the Jolly Jumpers. Uber will be spectating the Kiwi counterparts here, the Chillybins. Uber, if we roll out air, what are you seeing?
Well, obviously, guys, you won't be able to see what I'm casting, but I'll sort of give you an update, a play-by-play of things as they sort of go down. Currently, and I hope not, it looks like the Chillybin Warriors are heading towards the K2, the camp zone. Are they going to camp this map one out? I'd be a little bit disappointed if they did, but it seems to be the order of the day. So, look, historically, the Ruinberg South camp is very, very hard to break. There are too many angles at which you can cover one another, and it is very, very difficult for an enemy to poke and prod at your defenses and dig you out. So that heavier lineup now starting to make a little bit more sense for the Chillybin Warriors, but that's a dastardly tactic if I've ever seen one. It's going to be up to the Jolly Jumpers to try and break this camp. What are they up to?
Well, the Aussies here are all sort of culminating down in between the G on the G line and across the G line as sort of, you know, the northernmost point here, out across to that G3 as their sort of furthest point with that T1. So again, looks like the Aussies might be camping it up here as well, Uber. So we'll see what is going to come of this one. Hopefully we can get these are different rules to what we played in the Cyber Game League as well. So there's no 8-point rule tonight. They're 7-minute games. They're not the 10-minute games that we played earlier. So I wonder if that's going to change up how these guys play compared to last time we saw them.
We'll have to see. I should now, and congrats to Wargaming. The new update, spectator mode, means we can see both teams, which is awesome. Solves a lot of problems for us casters. So you guys will be able to see both teams. I'm sure on stream you can see exactly what the Kiwis are up to right now. And you can see the Australian team, well, they're cautiously trying to work their way down. They're holding all their angles here. We've got tanks sitting at C1. We've got a few at D3 as well. And our T1 has pushed over onto the fountain. And that's Fresh Meat. And he will sit tight in that bush and just try and get some spots down. He's actually looking over towards sort of the J6 area. He's looking towards that main road. And maybe the cap hasn't been anticipated yet. But surely, you know, if you're a Jolly Jump, you've got to expect it. Furbex took a big chunk of damage there. By the looks of things, it was a 50-100 shot. It's down to 680. So just, I don't really know if you got a spot from that one, but I think surely the cat's out of the bag. I'd say the Jolly Jumpers have a reasonable idea of what the Kiwis are trying to produce here.
Well, I must admit, I did get a little bit confused there. That is quite a big update. Now being able to see both teams here, Uber, it's should be a little bit more exciting than just being stuck on spectating just the one team like we were for the last few months, I suppose. So that's again, yeah, a big shout out to Wargaming. They're getting that spectator mode sorted out. This is obviously much better. So we've got Fresh Meat here in his T1 in that F1 square. He's like right here at this fountain. Nice little spotting area here, as it looks like the rest of the Aussies are pushing out along that A-line. We'll see if they're going to come down the field here, Uber.
Yeah, well, they've got the flexibility to do so. We can see Fairbanks pushing wide here. He's a little bit low. Has to be a little bit careful as he's going to go straight up that 0 line and check out that middle village. What I find interesting here is that it seems like the Jolly Jumpers really haven't scouted out, the plans of the Chillybin Warriors too much at this early stage. Bucket took the one shot earlier on from sort of the Kiwis that were camping. It concerns me that we're camping on Ruinberg in a match of sort of this, sort of a lighter mood. But nonetheless, the Kiwis have not found their W keys yet. Dako's doing a little bit of spotting there on the T1 just to try and spot out anyone flanking from the field, and it's a fairly smart strategy here. The best way to try and break the camp here on Ruinberg is to come at it from both angles and push simultaneously, and Dako's just trying to get some spotting on towards the field, just so the Kiwis will know if the Aussies are actually trying to do that. So you can see right now, at the moment, fairly, I wouldn't say fairly quiet. There's definitely a lot happening here. We can see the Jolly Jumpers really trying to maneuver into position here. Fairbanks is going to be coming over the field, and he will be trying to lay some spots down towards the cap of the New Zealanders. I don't really know how much information he's going to gain there. Batman is in position if he wants to roll over to have a shot. But slowly, Comics is moving through the city. Eminent's not far behind him as well. Freshmeat holding his position on that statue and just trying to get some spotting done.
Yeah, Furbeck's here. He's down to 680 HP, but he has managed to make his way all the way down here, down almost to this capture point, as the Australians do start to make their way across that F line. All those heavies you can see across there at the moment. Are the shots coming out? The SOS did come out from Comics. No, he is okay. So I'm just waiting for this Australian push as we do hit that 2-minute mark.
Yeah, well, we're getting we're getting there. It's only like a minute left game. They're not long games, so it's very possible this will be a draw. This 7-minute sort of time limit constrains you a little bit to making those moves on the fly. Normally 2 minutes is the push timing, and it gives you just enough time to try for something. And if you can't succeed, you can normally pull out, especially against a camping team where their forces are mostly concentrated. You can wipe them out within that time. If you do it properly. So the onus is definitely on the Aussies here to make a push, and Vindicare actually have a few cracks at Fresh Meat in the city, forcing him back out. I'd say it is fairly unlikely that we will see a major engagement towards the, before the end of this game. And the reason I say that is because, the Australians really need to get in position before they even start to think about making a move on this camp, because it is what it is. It is very well held by the New Zealanders right now. They have cover on each other from multiple directions, and they're just going to wait. And I don't think that the Australians really have time to make any sort of meaningful push here. Anything that's really well constructed or thought out. I think we'll have a draw here. Yeah,
they've got nothing to lose, though. They have pushed one T1 all the way back to A4 here, Uber. So I think they're just going to throw everything at it, knowing that worst comes to worst. They're still only going to come out of this with the draw in the very worst situation here. So we will see those heavies moving forward. 30 seconds remaining on the clock. Furbeck's here in this 1390. I love the sound of those bells as I love as the bells go off here. And Furbeck's going to push through 680 HP. Did take a couple of shots onto him as well. Ajax actually has made his way into the capture zone here, Uber. He does take a shot. It looks like he's going to try and get this base capture. Obviously, not enough. Huge amount of shots coming out here. Grimmon going to go down. It looks like Batman's going to pick up Furbeck's though, and we're going to hit the 0 mark. Time is up. Game 1, 1 point apiece here, Uber. That is going to come out to a draw.
That's it. Yeah, I'm not surprised. There's not enough time to go onto that one at all. Really, what can I say about that? We saw, Bucket pushed in fairly early on, and massive whiff from Anatel actually on the corner as he tried to hit towards the 1390 of Furbeck's. and didn't manage to catch on to him there. So I mean, the damage really tells the whole story, but it is going to be a draw.
All right, that is game number 1, as we said. So in this situation, both teams get 1 point, and we're looking for first to 3. Is that correct? With both teams, if both teams score 3 points, then obviously we continue playing until one team gets ahead. Is that the plan? Is that how these wargaming rules work out, Uber?
Yeah, essentially. So it goes 1-1. It goes 1-1 now, score-wise. Sort of, man, then they have the chance, and if the guys from Australia manage to pick up the next game, it'll be 2-1, and then they could sort of draw every other game out, and they're still going to be ahead by that 1 point, and that'll still give them the game. So essentially, you only have to win one game cleanly, and then the rest of the games you could just sort of sit back. And this tends to happen, but the problem is that we've still got 4 maps potentially to come. And if you're the kind of team that sort of camps out and then you sort of get a map taken off you towards the end, your whole strategy is thrown out the window, and then we go to Sand River for the tiebreaker. And naturally, we sort of look at counting back the damage, I think, for the games, and to see who gets to pick the side and all that kind of thing. I think that'll be the case here. We'll have to see. That's how they run it in the Wargaming League anyway. So anyway, that was Ruinberg. I'm glad you were also riveted. I definitely was. It's going to be Mines next, and the Australians are going to be on the northern spawn. And the southern one will be with the New Zealanders now, and I can paint you a bit of a picture of what this is going to look like. If what we've seen over the last weekend is anything to go on in terms of what we've seen in NA and EU, North will take the hill, South will probably sit back and try to work the islands here. If South push the hill, then there's a good chance, if they do it properly, that they can win the game right there. Because quite often, northern teams aren't expecting to be pushed on that hill. If you have good sort of focused fire, lots of autoloaders, you can take the hill away from North. And if North don't have the hill, they are in deep, deep trouble. South have a lot more cover from the hill. They've got the rocks around the base, sort of towards the foreline, and plenty of things to hide behind, but North just do not. If the hill gets taken off them, it's big trouble for them. And that's kind of why the hill is easier for them to take. It's a shorter distance, there's less of a gradient as you try and drive your tank up there. North need the hill.
Yeah, we've seen a number of games here in the Cyber Gamer ladder recently, and we've seen some interesting different versions, whether coming up from that southern side trying to take the hill, or we did see that IS-3 rush as well, which was quite interesting, rushing the hill from the north spawn with those IS-3s, and as soon as they got there, Uber, that was kind of GG in that situation. So I think one of these guys are just jumping back in. We'll go into tank selection very, very shortly. What we might do here is jump in, play some tunes. We'll be back in a couple of minutes, guys. Don't go anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back here with the clash of the Titans, the Australian Jolly Jumpers up against the Kiwi, the Chillybin Warriors here. My name is Sam and I'm joined by Uber. We are into tank selection here on map number 2, which is Mines. Comics has called out, he's got T32, a T69 times 2, 1390 times 2, and a T1 by 2. And what have the Kiwis gone with, Uber?
All right, at this stage, it looks like the Kiwis are looking down the barrel of two T1s, an IS3, two 3090s, 5100, and a T32. It's not uncommon to see this. Probably sort of last season, we saw super light lineups on this map were really favoured. So three 1390s, two T69s, done. You would go for super mobility, especially when you wanted to push the hill and just like shoot as many shots at the enemy as you could. Now it's a little bit different. So teams like the IS3, especially on the southern spawn, if I'm not mistaken, Mines, it's an all spawn for Australia, I think. So they might have to switch those over. Maybe they're right already. Either way. So yeah, interestingly, both teams opting for the T32. Often you don't always see both teams going for that one. Point is, it's not a super mobile lineup for either team. I mean, look, the Aussies do have the 269s and the 23090s, so that is more flexible. It is more mobile. There's no 5100 there at all, whereas the New Zealanders have gone for that tank. We're going to be into the game in a second. You can get a bit of an idea of how this one's going to work out. The T32 for a bit of stability, for a bit of solidness, as well as being able to hold down on that hill and get crucial shots. If Joke, obviously from the Australians, or for that matter, Anato from the New Zealanders get pushed as a T32, they're going to be in for a world of hurt because the T32 has minimal ability to sustain itself in a close range fight. The hull armor is tripe. The turret armor is about 298mm thick plus a gun mantle. It's phenomenal, especially when you're poking your head over a hill. But if you've got tanks that push you and take away the advantage of you being able to hull down behind a hill or an undulation or a crest, that's going to be a problem. So you expect to see both T32 sit back here, heavy pings going over towards the hill by the Jolly Jumpers here. It looks like that's where they want to set up camp, and a little bit more of a spread here from the Chillybin Warriors.
Yeah, the Chillybin Warriors spreading out down this western side. We will see Batman and Horse of the Apocalypse move all the way over. They're going to go to that bottom left island. Bingo Bongo, as we can see, is going to hold back here at that sort of K4 position. If we go through the rest of the team, let's see if we can slide through here and see where the rest of the boys have found themselves. Actually, they easy push here, Uber, for the Aussies to get onto. Actually, is Num going to take a couple of hits here? A nice bit of angling, actually, I think, from or positioning as such from the Kiwis. Will put a couple of hits down, take out 1/3 of his life, and he is forced to push back here.
Okay, so the Chillybin Warriors going with a very stock set, a very acceptable setup here on South Mines. They've got two on the hill near their base. That's the heavies, the 32 and the IS3. Now, sending out your 3090s to that island there is a very safe strategy for southern spawners, and it lets you get picks towards mid if you don't push it quickly. Now, the whole point of North getting to mid quickly is so they can avoid being shot from the side, but the T32 is not a fast tank. Joke has opted to try and get himself advantage points here, but he is going to be picked on quite easily. He's pushed up a fair way. I mean, the rock in mid is fairly big. We can see Batman there taking a little bit of damage, going down to 853. All over the map, we can see everyone's just waiting for the push here. So Australia definitely, the ball's in their court. They hold mid right now. We can see Joke trying to get some shots over towards Horse and Batman, who are sitting on that island. So Eminence has actually opted not to push too far up onto the hill as well. He's playing a similar role to Horse and Batman, getting some shots sort of across to the islands. But where he's set up, it makes him a little bit vulnerable to Anato and Griffin, who are in the heavies for the Chillybin Warriors sitting way back at their base. Also, in an important pivot point is Bingo Bongo on the 5100 for the Chillybin Warriors. He's sitting right back there at K4. And he can get shots over a lot of crucial parts of the map. For the most part, he'll try and stay hidden, but you know, the gun of the 5100 is definitely good enough to make shots into mid if he needs to. Plenty of blind shots right now. Plenty of probing shots being fired by Fairbex up on the hill. Both teams just trying to get an edge early.
Yeah, Num's just rolling back and forth. He did fire a couple of shots a little bit earlier on, but he is being relatively careful here. I suspect he doesn't want to take too much more damage in his T32, otherwise he will certainly start losing advantage of that HP that he does have here. Comics, he's coming down as well in his 1390. It looks, maybe are they going to go for a flank here down the western side, this Australian team? It looks like we'll see if we can follow out the 1390s here of the, wow, how many tanks do I need to go through here to get?
Well, basically, yeah. They're pushing across this island, which is fine ordinarily, but it's pretty hard to push across the water unless you gain a distinct advantage against Horse and Batman. They might be able to catch Horse in a position where he's sort of stuck on the island. Good shot coming across. Horse goes down to 783, but Bingo Bongo will be watching from that corner up the back. He had a really good position, and he's able to get shots from there. Comics is the first one across. A shot misses there from Anatol, if I'm not mistaken, and he will head across. Another shot misses. Comics has made it across. He's still got to deal with Horse and Batman at close range. It's 2 3090s onto 1. But if Comics can catch the attention here of Batman and Horse, he's just spotted Batman there. If he can hold their attention for a while, that is going to give the rest of the Australians a chance to push across as well. Furbex wants to come. Will he be able to get across without being shot? He's quick in that 1390. And yes, so now 2 Australian 1390s up on the island. Good shot from Batman there. Takes Comics down to 870. Comics likely doesn't have the gun depression to get a decent shot at Batman at this stage. And he is very cleverly just skirting around the rock. But now Furbex coming around the outside trying to catch him out. He will be in range of Bingo Bongo if he's not careful. Comics has to stay on the lower side of that slope. Batman have a shot here. Surely, shot's being traded. Horse going fairly low. Comics going low as well. Good shot from Griffin there to take him down to 41. And Horse is also very, very low. Horse a one shot here, but Furbex is focused on Batman right now. Should be looking over towards the other 1390. Furbex now on reload. Batman should have some shots still. Joker's still attempting to pin Batman down as well. Horse is caught with very, very little health on that hill. Now, a bit of reinforcements here. Eminence taking a shot that he really shouldn't have taken there from Anato as he pokes a little bit too far up, but Horse the Apocalypse does drop. Good shot from Ajax there. Shots now towards Bingo Bongo right at the back. He must have been spotted somehow. The crucial pivot point of the Chillybin Warriors now under fire too.
Yeah, Batman here going to go down. Nice shot coming out of them. We will see Joke here as well as Griven pushes through. This might be interesting. The IS-3 up against the T-32. The T-32 has already taken some damage. 376 going to go out there. Griven, nice shot. Does jump back a little bit here. We'll see whether Joke is going to be able to come around and get a shot. Shot's going to bounce off the top armor, putting Griven in a very nice position. 307 HP left here of Numb as well. And Griven, I hope, for his sake, should be able to clear this one up. And I can hear some shots coming. He's out. He's done. As mind that tank going to get picked up here by Darko, I think. And what's his name? Anutho is going to get taken out as well. As the Aussies start to push around here down the southern side, Uber.
Yeah, but they have no one left in the middle of the map. You can see Ajax having some shots towards him. Griffin made mincemeat of Joker. That's just an IS-3 at close range. As I said, T-32s can't deal with close range combat. Great shot coming across towards Ajax from Griffin. Drops into 951. Ajax going to make himself vulnerable to get another shot from the hill. He's trying to push on a Bingo Bongo. It's a 1500. Yes, he does manage to pick up Eminence Fresh Meat. Does he have the damage to take down Bingo Bongo? Waiting for a reload. He should be able to get this kill if he shoots Bingo Bongo from the rear. But it's a one shot. No, Bingo picks him up. Ajax, though, will reply onto him. He's the last tank standing. Daco and Vindicare will surely be going for a cap momentarily, and there's only 40 seconds for Ajax to get himself out of this situation. It's a sticky one. Bingo Bongo picked up 4 kills from that position right at the back. You can see the corpses of Eminence, Fresh Meat, and Furbex, as well as I think Comics died over on the island as well. So Bingo Bongo had a very easy time of it. Griffin's in an IS-3. He's loving life. He can easily push onto the T-69 here. He has such a great amount of armor, even against the heat shells of the 69. Griffin has more health and more alpha damage as well. He should be able to sustain quite nicely. However,
10 seconds left.
Is an auto-lighter.
10 seconds left here, Uber. He only needs to survive. I think he is good here. The capture is not going to go down in time. Ajax is going to get down the rear side of the rocks there, and that is going to be that. We have a look. Another draw going to come out there. Though I must admit, the Kiwis did have the advantage that a game had gone for the full 10 minutes that we're used to playing, Uber. Those last 3 minutes certainly would have made a difference.
Absolutely, and this is the thing about, as I said, reducing the amount of time you have to work things. And to be fair, the Australians were fairly proactive all game. South spawn on mines generally implies a slower approach to the game. You don't want to push up to the hill too much because you can get flanked from that eastern village as well as if your opponent uses the island for quite well. you can be sort of caught out in a situation and be flanked. Your opponent can drop off the hill, come up behind you. But that was pretty straightforward. Basically, Australia committed a lot of resources to trying to take that island. There were two 5100s there from the Chillybin Warriors that were sitting fairly tight. We saw Comics go across, managed to do it unscathed. Furbex came across unscathed. 2v2 in terms of 39ers, but Batman had the higher ground. He had a rock for cover, and Comics was struggling a little bit to put the damage down. We saw a 69 come across as well, I believe. But he took a fair bit of damage as he crossed. He poked up once, I think, and Griffin slapped him with a good amount of damage there. It's, I mean, you got like 390 alpha damage on an IS-3 on the BL-9. It's a good gun. It does a lot of damage, and even from long range, it's fairly accurate. Basically, Griffin was he was left to his own devices there. In the middle of the map, a T-32 against an IS-3 will normally go on the IS-3's favour because the T-32 needs to keep you at arm's reach. The penetration of the gun isn't that good, to be fair. The reload time is a little bit faster than an IS-3, but it doesn't pack as much of a punch, especially in terms of alpha damage. I think it's 320. Griffin is just like, come at me, bro. He charges directly front on, might I just say, towards Joke. He can bounce armor from the front. His turret is near impenetrable, especially to a T-32. Just run up on him, put a couple shots in him, and have him for breakfast. The two T-1s as well from the Chillybin Warriors were left free to push around the East Village to take the cap, whereas the T-1s from the Australians actually went with the 1390s for extra, I guess, cap potential, given that they were low on time. So an overextension by the Australians. They maybe didn't respect that middle of the map enough. I think Eminence was in the... Was it Eminence? Eminence was in the T-69. He was initially in the middle area. Now, if he had combined with Joke to work on Griffin, it might have been okay, but he pulled back. He was initially in a bit of a dodgy spot anyway. He pulled back and tried to help with the island push, but a lot of resources put there. Crucially enough, the pivot point of Bingo and Bongo is so good. I've seen ISU 152 sit back there with the BL-10, which hits so hard, and you could quite safely put it's just a turret spot. You just sit a tank there and just have him blow the bollocks out of the opposition team. You could do it with a Waffenträger as well. Works fantastically. So smart play there, good defensive play. It was definitely a game that the Australians could have won, but maybe the execution wasn't all there.
All right, so the end result of that is a draw, and that puts both teams here on 2 points apiece. Now, if my calculations are correct, Uber, that leaves us 1 point away from a victory. If a team does win here on Himmelsdorf, that will put them out to 3-2, which is a victory. Am I correct? Is that right? Is this how this works?
I think so.
Yeah, Batman's saying...
I think it's...
Yeah, there we are. Those are the rules of the game. Obviously, this is a best of 5. Both teams coming out so far at 2 apiece. Now, the winner tonight does not automatically win this competition, though, Uber. We are playing 3 best of 5s across the next few weeks here. We're going to get the most out of our Aussie and our Kiwi teams. And, yeah, so we've got some tank selections out here. Now, Comics has gone for 2 IS-3s, 5100s by 3, and 2 T-1s. And Batman's come out and said, we'll grab the same.
Yep. Yeah, it should be the same. This cookie, it's Himmelsdorf. Your room for embellishment and cheeky little plays is a little bit limited. As you can see, the map is quite heavily... cityscapes. You need a lot of damage in a pinch, but you also need the ability to soak damage up as well. ISUs are great for that. Plenty of armor. Can always get the odd bounce or two, especially with the slope front armor in 2 directions. It's pretty hard to bust through the pike nose, especially front on. So both teams will be going for that one now. What I'm interested to see here, Himmelsdorf has changed a fair bit. What we used to see a lot last season of the Wargaming League, especially in Asia, is that the hill was important. We'd see teams, Numb are a great example of this. They would send 3 5100s to the hill and have 2 IS-3s hold on the G line if we're talking about a southern spawn. And they just sit there and hold and sort of they probe. So your 5100s might see if they can go for a flank and they can pull back at a minute's notice if they have to as well. It's a flexible position to put a 5100 up on the hill. They go quite fast. I think, oh God. Top speed, I don't even know what it is at the moment. It's high. I think I wouldn't go as far as to say it's 50-odd Ks, but it's not a tank I play too much. It's 51K speed limit, so they are quick. So you can be flexible, you can pull it off the hill if you need to, but what has started to happen is that teams actually see through this strategy of leaving 5100s on the hill. And if you're a North spawn, they just push their entire force onto the hill. They get down a ton of free damage because sometimes teams are reluctant about whether they back off from the fight. They stay. And a good example of this, I think Night Eagles did it to them last season. They just sent all their tanks up the hill, destroyed 3 5100s without losing any tanks, if I'm not mistaken, and then just cleaned up the rest of the map. So, I mean, North has more opportunities to camp up a little bit because they've got some little alcoves around there or close to their base that they can hold on to. The 3-4 line, they can sort of sit back and watch the road. Generally, the onus comes to the South team to make a push, but that is definitely not a hard and fast rule for this map. Tons of opportunities for both teams to make things happen. We even see the occasional YOLO push across mid from the south to the north, which works well. Not as well in the converse direction because pushing down the 8 line as north spawn is a really, really bad idea because the hull down is so good for any teams on the south.
All right, looks like we should be good to go here onto Himmelsdorf. We've seen a few in the past. Obviously, as you said, there's a couple of changes, but always do enjoy seeing the 5100s and the strategies that come out with those on this map, Uber. Who gets that better initial, or I suppose, initiation as such, and who comes out of that ahead. We are going to jump into game number 3 here in just a second. We'll be back with Australia versus New Zealand. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Sam and I am joined today by our resident World of Tanks expert, Uber. We are on Himmelsdorf. The Australian, the Jolly Jump is up against the Chillybin Warriors. I might roll out with the Australian team to start off with, as we see them actually starting to make a bit of a push here, Uber, down that 7 line straight away. They are going out here. Hopefully, I'm keen for this third game in our best of 5 to be a good one.
It's very aggressive for both teams, actually. It looks like a classic 2-3 line push eventually from the Chillybin Warriors here. Comic's actually moving up quite a long way already to take his position here at C3. Going to be using those windows to get some free damage down, and Ajax is going to be looking over here at D6, sort of sitting up in the window. So it's a bit of a split here from the Australians. Eminence now to join Comics here on that 2-3 line, which makes a bit more sense. Fairbank's actually watching the middle as well, just in case he can get any cheeky spots and extra free damage early on in the piece. Vindicator's pushed up a long way. He's very, very deep here, and he may have spotted out Comics there because he's just taken a shot there for Griffin, if I'm not mistaken. Comics down out of 10-32. Vindicator, not sure if he's sitting there for the proxy spot. Yes, he would be. But he has managed to help his team catch on to Comics. Comics is taking 2 hits now, and he's been forced to back right away. So it's been a great hold there. Griffin picks up fresh meat as well. And look, if you're playing North and you're not expecting the enemy team to be on the 2-3 line on South, you must have had a bad day or something, because that is definitely the favourable position to take up here. Batman spotting out fresh meat there, and he got quickly cleaned up. That was by Griffin. And now it's time for the Chillybin Warriors to decide how to push this one. They're going to use the train line fairly extensively here. Dacre going to be pushing up quite wide, just to try and flank around the back of the actual hangar. Horsey Apocalypse is going to be moving up in tandem with Bingo Bongo. Griffin, as always, standing at the front. It's time to see what the Aussies are trying to do. It looks like going for a bit of a delayed hill push here. Comics is going to sit up there. So they might sit and bait in a push here from the Chillybin Warriors and try and descend onto them. Ajax will be the first to spot anything out here. Yeah,
obviously Australia down one of those T1s. Comics himself has taken a little bit of damage down to almost just 50% HP here. As you said, we are going to get that. We will see T1 here of Vindicare is going to push around. He probably going to proxy spot out Ajax here. I'm not 100%, but I reckon he is pretty close. I would suspect.
Quite easily. Ajax staying in that spot for far too long. His team had already back. He was the westernmost player on his team, and he wasn't looking at the west. So that's a bit concerning as well. It's so much freedom for you just to push up and take a shot there. Griffin actually set Ajax on fire. Don't know how many multi damage, if at all, but Ajax puts one back on towards Griffin here. Griffin coming around, not able to have any of the debris to shield his tank. Ajax is just going to have to hold tight here, but it's going to be a push around as well. Daco still wide. Anato is going wide as well. Ajax and Griffin are going to trade for a while. This is a grudge match if I've ever seen one. And these two now trying to get the better of each other. Bingo Bongo just sitting tight, waiting for a push from Ajax. Vindicare will keep him lit. Good shot there coming from the hill. That was Furbex straight on towards Griffin. He drops down to 809, but the push is on here from the Chillybin Warriors. All of them. Horse, Anato, Daco moving in towards the cap. It's only going to be Eminence there to deal with. The Comics is sitting quite a far way back up the hill. He will get a shot towards, maybe it was Anato, should I say. Yeah, he'll be taking that one there. Fairbex is up on the hill. Joke only now just coming around to help Ajax. There's not enough focus towards the cap site, really, for the Australians yet. But the New Zealanders aren't pushing it that hard. Ajax surely going to be collapsed on in a second. He's doing well to duel with Criven, but there we go. Bingo Bongo gets the flank on Joke. Gets an easy hit there. Takes him down. Oh, dear, it's a 5100 as well. Takes 2 free shots from that one. Goes down to 871. Ajax gets another one on towards Griffin. He'll probably win that 1v1. He's doing very, very well to shake off the damage. But Joke is having a bit of trouble here with Bingo. Bingo still with 3 shells at least in the cartridge, maybe even more. And Ajax actually wants to push on Griffin here. No, the shot goes over his head. He's going to take some free damage there. Very confident play from him. The capture is on. Batman's sitting on the cap. None of the Aussies have been able to shake him off that one yet as well. Vindicare will finally drop down. That's 1T1 to hit the dust. Now Bingo Bongo pushing around to the side as well. Griffin goes low. Very, very low. And he does actually put one into Ajax's tracks. Now Horse on the cap. Takes one hit from Comics. It's 52% through. They're trying to get resets here. But all the cap points are on Batman. And he is untouched thus far. Fairbeck's having to pull back. He gets a shot towards Daco. Going to help to reset somewhat. But not enough. Comics drops down now as well. Horse fairly low. No one is getting any shots onto the man with all the cap points, and that is Batman. Anato's defending him nicely. 70%. Joker's now going to have to pull back as well. I don't know how much time the Aussies have here.
Yeah, if they can get Batman here, if they can take him out, he has so many capture points. Oh, that is it. They did not manage to do it. The Chillybin Warriors are going to pick this up. They're going to come out to 3 points to 2 Uber, and according to the rules as I've read them, that is GG.
Well, yeah, it absolutely is. That is the win going over towards the Chillybin Warriors. And look, I mean, the Wallabies haven't beaten the I think we've beaten the All Blacks 1 time in 10 games, and the Chillybin Warriors just continuing that trend. And look, that was well played by them. I'll have to give them that. Griffin may be biting off a little bit more than he could chew there, trying to take on Ajax, especially Ajax had the better position, really leaving his turret the only thing poking over. But the push was very, very good. It was almost as if there was 2 pushes. The decoy push of Griffin and Bingo Bongo towards mid. Then we saw Daco, Horse, Anato, Batman pushing in onto the cap. And what they did was very, very smart. They covertly used Batman on the cap. They sort of snuck him onto it and then shielded him with Anato. So even though the New Zealanders had tanks on the cap that were taking damage, they didn't have the cap points. They were all on that T1. So sure, you might have a 5100 that gets killed on the cap. You lose 5 cap points out of 100. It's fine, because Batman is sitting there with Anato. They're just chilling. They're getting all these cap points away. The Australians, they kind of neutered their ability to defend the cap by moving so far up on the hill. Joke flexed around to try and help Ajax, but it might even have been better for him to sit back a little bit further so he could still have shots down the 8 line, but also defend the cap, because there was not enough people on the cap for the Australians at all. They essentially just, they got muscled on there. It was very, very quick, very fast maneuver. A lot of takes on the cap means it's going to tick up very, very fast. And sure, I mean, the Australians had a T1 on the other cap, but they just didn't have the people there. So a few places where they went wrong. Losing fresh meat early, not ideal. That was definitely not ideal. Comics taking 2 shots of free damage as well, and not ideal. Then they sort of pulled back, and they pulled back too far. And the New Zealanders just pushed in to take the win.
They did indeed. It was really interesting to see. I thought, to be fair, initially that Batman was trying to bait out a response. He did jump in that nice little nook there up against the building. I was waiting to see the Jolly Jumpers, the Aussies, come out and see their response, but he was in such a good position there that I suppose Comics, etc., could not see anyone to even shoot at. He poked around the corner and there was no one there. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for tonight. That is game 1 in this best of 3 series. The next game, I believe, is in a few weeks on the 19th of September, Uber. That'll be game number 2. Obviously, the Kiwis are going to go into that one up on the Australian team. Is there anything that you want to go over before we head off tonight?
No, I think I've done my fair share of ranting. Thank you so much for you guys for joining us as well. Make sure to keep up with everything that's happening as well. Mole Australia put a short survey in the Twitch chat. Get on that, check it out. Really, really help us out in the future to sort of tailor content that is something that you guys are going to enjoy. So we're trying to work with you here. So it's just a quick 5 questions survey of the game. Get on that one. I'd really appreciate it if you did that. Also, head over to Twitter. You can follow us on Twitter. You'll know when we go live by following the channel. easy. Click down in the bottom left corner. You can follow me at Uber Shouts. You can follow Sandman at TDTV_Sandman. And you'll always know when we're going live with all the action. So we'll be back, of course, sort of in a couple of weeks with the next of our Clash of the Titans series, as well as the next Cyber Gamers season is just around the corner. So if you want to get into some World of Tanks, you like the look of 7v7, head over to cybergamer.com.au, sign your team up, get involved. It's not long away. So it's around the
26th of September is when it starts. 6 weeks later, so get involved now. Now is the time to get your team together, Uber. And to get involved. It was a pretty good season one, I must admit. The community was really good. The players really got involved, and the Australian New Zealand captains, as well as to be fair, must shout out to the Japanese as well, considering they won the whole thing, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
They did. So Australian New Zealand teams, get involved, support the Aussie scene and the Aussie ladder. Don't forget to support MOL Australia, MOL.com. We've seen they've got all sorts of deals going on. If you are buying Wargaming, gold for World of Tanks, any Steam Wallet points, things like that, they are the guys to get with. They do a huge amount of work. They essentially put this whole competition together. So that is it from us for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you very much, Uber, for your insight and actually knowing the game in comparison to me. So that's it, guys. Come back on the 19th of September, 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. That is game round number 2 for this competition. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you then.